welcome to this video. Now, you can tell that I'm warm because I pulled my hair back. I am standing right. I just realized that my books are literally right underneath the heating vent. Well, it's kind of right above me, and then my books are around it. So I'm currently getting blasted with some warm air, but it's cold outside, so I gotta have the heat on. Let's talk about An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Amazing book. Now, before I continue, I must tell everyone I've read this before, and I've read the next book, so I know some certain things about a certain character. So, please be advised that if you have not read A Torch Against the Night, even though this is a review, a talk about An Ember in the Ashes and what I just read, I will likely say something about this certain character, so if you haven't read it, I would advise you go do so. I don't know how far it is in A Torch Against the Night that it's revealed, so just anyone who's read the first two books will know what I'm talking about, and will know why I feel like my heart has betrayed me. Like, the first time I read it, I was like, that sucks. Alright, moving on from this guy. But now, even though I know who he is, what he is, so let's just get on with this before I make this video an hour long. So, An Ember in the Ashes. I honestly, let me just say this one thing. I love the world that Sabaa Tahir made and built on, and I just love it. I know it's loosely based on the Roman Empire, but honestly, I don't know anything about the Roman Empire. I just know it's loosely based on the Roman Empire because I did a Google search. I am not well versed in history because, I'm completely honest with you, I zoned out during a lot of my history, or as in Canada we call it, social studies. All of that. I zoned out in a lot of those classes. I nearly failed a lot of those classes. So, kind of problematic. Anyways, but yeah, I love the world. I like the idea of the scholars, the marshals, then there's the Marin, then there's the tribes, and the barbarians. Don't know much about the barbarians, but right. Now, let's talk about our characters. Let's start off with our main male character, Elias. Elias Vittorius. He is a marshal. He is the son of the commandant, who I am going to touch on in a second. He is so nice, so heartwarming. We don't know who his father was. We don't know anything about his father. However, his father must have had a heart, because Elias has a goddamn heart. Granted, most marshals are born with a heart, but like, Elias tries to keep his soul throughout this entire book, and I love it, and he's so nice. Despite his shortcomings, I love him. And okay, again, if you haven't read A Torch Against the Night, you're not going to understand the emotions that I'm feeling right now, because it's some of that is starting to come back, and I I really don't. I don't want it. I don't like it. And breathe. So yes, Elias Marshall. He's also an aspirant to be Emperor of the Empire, which he ultimately fails. Because, of course, he does. Because he doesn't want to give up his soul. So, yes, Elias, and then his best friend, Helene Aquila. I have a love and hate relationship with Aquila. Helene. I just, for some reason, my mind might be changed in Reaper, but as of what I have read and what I do remember from A Torch Against the Night, I'm not too keen on Helene. I'm not. Maybe I'll grow up. There are just things that Hell does that I can't. I can't with her. It's just, Okay, Hell does have more of a moral compass than most marshals. However, her moral compass is still skewed. It's still awful. It's still martial. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to deal with it. And let's just get to Elias's mother, the Commandant, who is Karis Veturia. Now, fucking the Commandant is the most dead but alive, emotionless person I have ever read about. In fact, she's even more emotionless than my villain. And that's saying a lot, because of the things he does. I'm not gonna say anything about my own book. But, like, really? Okay, first off, she wanted to kill Elias right when he was born. Yes, she had a moment of weakness, but then she regretted it, turned around, tried to kill him again, but the tribal caravan of which she dropped him off in was gone already. Now, we only know this because she decides, oh, my son is on death row, let's tell him the story of his birth. Nothing about his father, though. We're gonna keep that hidden. I need the Commandant to die. I don't think she dies in A Torch Against the Night. Again, I don't remember a whole lot. I remember certain things and certain things that I don't like. So, well, what am I gonna do? But have to read. But, yeah, Commandant's a bitch. And anyone who tries to say otherwise is a psychopath. Because the Commandant I can't get past the fact that she took Izzy's eye out when Izzy was 5. 5! You remove an eye from a 5-year-old? What the fuck is wrong with you? So the Commandant, absolutely hate. Another person I absolutely hate. We're not going to touch the scholars yet. Another marshal I absolutely hate, Marcus. His brother Zach is kind of nice. Zach doesn't quite, but Zach dies, so he's not important. But Marcus is he's soulless. He killed his own brother. What the fuck? Granted, that was the augurs telling, and the augurs are like the holy people of this world. But like, still, I hate it. I want it to go away. I hate Marcus. Marcus is he's too soulless. He's like the Commandant, and I hate it. And that is not how someone should rule. So I'm gonna be off in my little corner, seething about Marcus and just wanting to jump in the book and punch his stupid face. I would also love to slit his throat, but you know what, I can't have everything. Let's get on to our scholar friends. And scholars are what you would think, scholars. And they're just people. People that got conquered by the Empire, the Marshals, because they didn't have the right steel. It's called Serric steel. So, and everything breaks against Serric steel. So, scholars were fucked from the beginning. And they were conquered like 500 years before the events of this book. So, we have Leia, our other main character. And Leia, now, despite the fact that she thinks of herself as a coward, I think Leia's brave as shit. Now, speaking from the experience of dealing with abuse in my childhood, it's not easy to even just run from all of the... Run from what she was about to face when her grandparents were killed and Darren was taken into custody, where she would have been raped, abused, and stuff like that. Now, I've never been raped, so I can't speak for that end, but abuse, I can speak from. It's not easy to run from that, and she may think herself a coward, but she ran so she could live to fight another day. That's how I choose to believe it, and that's what she should believe. She is not a coward. She may think herself as one, but she was not in no state to be able to fight a mask. She was in no state. She couldn't fight a mask. The highest ranking fucking martial fighter. Like, you can't escape that. How would you? You can't. But in the book, she realizes, she might have it. She might actually have some of the courage of the lioness, which is her mother. Because her parents were leaders of the resistance. The scholar resistance. So, when the raid happens on her house, and she escapes, she goes right to the resistance and tells them who she is, and that they need to help her get her brother Darren out. And it's really the premise for the whole book, is she's trying to get her brother Darren out, but the resistance is lying to her, because Mason, best friend of the lioness, decides he's gonna lie to her daughter. But yeah, no. Mason is a fucking ass, and I would gladly slit his throat. I hope he dies real soon. But yeah, and we also meet Keenan. Now, let me talk about Keenan and how much I hate my heart. I hate it, because I know who Keenan is. Now, spoilers for Torch Against the Night. Keenan is the Nightbringer that Leia spies on the commandant, and finds with the commandant, if that makes any sense. She sees the Nightbringer in his true form, and she sees him in his human form, and Keenan has a grudge against the scholars because they imprisoned his people. Now, I get that. I do. But trying to get a scholar girl to fall for you and pretending like you care because you are the Nightbringer and you want to free your people and kill all the scholars is not fair. That's playing with my emotions and not just Leia's. It's playing with mine. Alright, I'm done with that spoiler. I'm done. I'm done. Yep, I'm done. I'm not going to talk about Kina anymore because my heart has already betrayed me and I don't want to feel that again. So then we also have Cook and Izzy, who are the other scholar slaves in the commandant's house. Now, Cook, we don't know much about her. She was a resistance fighter. She did explosives, and now she's like in her 70s, 80s, something like that. And she's trying to get Leia away from like the resistance and all that. Which I appreciate that she's trying to get her out of this and she's trying to convince Leia not to do it. But I want to know who Cook was. I really want to know if Cook was actually the spy. Kind of doubt it, but also don't know. And I want to know why Cook hates Leia's parents so much. I do want to know that. And you know what? I might never know, so yeah. But Cook is a good person. I like Cook, despite her harshness, despite how much she is just like, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, it comes from a place of caring. It comes from a good place. And I like Cook. Cook is good. Of course, I wish I knew what her real name was instead of Cook. Next, we'll talk about Izzy. Izzy, bravest girl I've ever met. Brave and innocent. Oh, I love her. She's so sweet. She's so innocent. She's so good. Oh. I love how willing she is to help Leia, and I love it so much. Granted, Izzy would probably be better off if she didn't, but you know what? Izzy finally gets free of her slavitude. Being a slave, she is free from that. Granted, she has to be on the run, but you know what? There's a lot of shit that she can feel better now that she's free of the commandant and that abuse. And I swear, other things the commandant does, like carving a K into Leia's chest. Oh, that was awful. Alright. Let's talk about Santa. Santa, who was one of the better resistance fighters. Because she actually fucking cared about Leia and her brother. She knew the lioness and loved and wanted to help Leia. Whereas Mason didn't. I hated it. But Santa, good person. I love her. I hope to see her more. I don't remember we're seeing her. Now, a lot of this book is based on the 4 trials that the 4 aspirants have to take. Zach dies in the third trial. However, first trial, we're going to go through these trials together. Now, the aspirants are Marcus, Zach, Elias, and Helene. Only 2 can come out. One is the Emperor, one is the Blood Shrike. And 2 are supposed to die. Now, Zach dies in the 3rd trial because, we'll get to that. So let's talk about the first trial. Now, the first trial It's about facing your fears, conquering them. And Helene has a fear of heights. Pretty valid fear, I'd say. Yeah. Marcus, I think, is afraid of the water, and Zach is afraid of tight spaces. So they dealt with their own fears. We never saw it. However, Elias's fear is how many people he will kill. 539 people. He stumbles upon this battlefield of just dead people. People he has killed, and then people he will kill. Now, Leia's on this battlefield. All of his friends are on this battlefield, and he almost succumbs to this fear because it's crippling to him. He doesn't want to kill any of his friends. He doesn't want to kill Leia. He just doesn't want to kill anymore. He really doesn't. And it breaks my heart to see it like that. He's just stumbling through it, and the mind tricks the augurs play on him. Too much. So yeah, that was the first round. Facing your fears. Hel nearly died in this, but Elias carried her to the end. The second trial was basically the augurs trying to kill the aspirants with the supernatural and also turning the entire school against them. Which, surprising, but also mad respect. I mean, they face efforts, and then Helene learns she has a healing ability. She can heal when she sings. Take something from her. Do we know what? Nope. But Elias nearly dies from it, but Hel sings him back to life. So, yeah. The second trial was certainly interesting to see efforts come on. Wraiths were also in it, and Elias trying to figure out how to deal with these and figuring out their weaknesses. But yeah, that was fun. That was kind of a trial that I expected. And then we have the third trial, which is where Zach dies, because the aspirants are pitted against each other. So Elias and Helene are pitted against each other, and then Marcus and Zach are pitted against each other. Marcus kills his brother. Elias would have killed Helene had she not been wearing her reward from the second trial for winning the second trial. Had she, which was a piece of body armor that can deflect even seraph steel. So she doesn't actually die, but Elias wins the trial. But during this trial, his platoon and Helene's platoon was in there, and they had to kill their friends. And it was honestly really, really sad to see Elias having to kill his own friends. The fact that I think only, aside from Hel, only Dex and who else? I don't remember who else, but two of his friends actually survived that whole encounter. That is awful. Two of his closer friends. That is awful. The fact that he had to kill people he grew up with for nearly a decade. And then came the fourth trial, when Okay, the others can read minds. Simple as that. So they knew Leia was in the Resistance. So they used her, and they used her to test Elias's loyalty. Now, Elias had made a vow to not cross the line he crossed with the third trial ever again. So he protects Leia as Cain, the main augur that we have, orders her execution. And that one of the first aspirant to complete the task becomes Emperor. Elias protects Leia. He thinks Leia's dead because the augur takes the dagger, bleeds all over her, and stuff like that. But, yep. Elias is then sentenced to death because he failed the trial. So, then he comes to peace with his soul, and he's like, oh my god, I'm so lightened. And then his commandant tells him the story of his birth, which, wild. But Cain takes Leia out of Blackcliff, sends her into the Resistance, because he knows where they are, so of course he does, and she learns Mazen's trickery, she learns all of this. Keenan gives her a way to escape, she gives it to Izzy. Izzy leaves on that escape, and then Leia and Cook have this whole plan worked out. Explosives set off, and Leia saves Elias, and then they start running through his secret pathway that he made because he was going to desert on graduation day. And that's literally how it ends, is they were running into the tunnel. Helene lets them escape and gives Elias the skims. Like, oh my god. You know what? I love it. This book is a wild ride. And I know that Torch Against the Night picks up right where An Ember in the Ashes left off, so that's why I've not started it yet, because I want to have that. But, yeah, amazing book. Just as good as I remember it. And I am going to be reading A Torch Against the Night right after, so yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this little chat, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!